She threw her newborn baby into the river because the baby was too ugly, blind, and too skinny. She called her a demon, something that should never walk among humans. 7 years passed. Her husband turned against her for not giving birth. The villagers mocked her for being barren. Her mother-in-law was planning to bring another woman into the home and send her away. Desperate and broken, she returned to the same river where she had once thrown her child, begging for the child she once rejected. Every day, she cried by the water, as if the river could hear her pain. Then one day it did. Her baby floated back to her, unchanged, not older, just the way she had thrown her into the river years ago. Still blind, still tiny. But this time something was wrong. She thought it was a miracle. She didn't know the river had turned her child into something else. The baby was now a demon. She took the baby home, and 3 days later, something terrible happened. The cry of a baby echoed in the labor room. But when the baby came out of Bimbo, everyone in the room stood in shock. It was like Satan had used Bimbo's womb as his house for 9 months. The baby looked very ugly and scary. Where the eyes should have been, there was nothing, just smooth, soft flesh. No eyeballs, no opening. Her legs were long like broomsticks. And worst of all, the baby was a girl. Bimbo turned her face away. She frowned. This was not what she had expected. What will the villagers call this? What will my husband call me if he sees this? This was what Bimbo was whispering to herself silently. That night, after the village nurse had gone to rest, Bimbo quietly stepped out of the hospital through the back door. She held the baby tightly in her arms and walked slowly and weakly to the river at the edge of the village. Under the cold moonlight, Bimbo looked down at the baby one last time. Then she closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and threw the baby into the river. She turned around and walked away. She whispered to herself, "I will have another baby, and it will never look like this." The baby, now at the top of the river, was crying continuously, and her little voice was heard by the river spirit. And suddenly, something tiny and long like a hand slowly came out of the river and pulled the baby down into the water. Bimbo returned to the hospital and laid on her bed like nothing had happened. By morning, Mama Agbabai, the village nurse, came to check on her. She looked around. The baby was gone. She turned quickly to Bimbo. "Where's your baby?" Bimbo sat up slowly, her eyes red. Then she whispered, "I threw the baby into the river." Mama Agbabai stepped back, her hands shaking. "What? Why would you do that?" But Bimbo didn't say a word. She just sat there and cried. "Please," she begged, "my husband must not hear of it. When he comes, just tell him I lost the baby." Mama Agbabai looked at her, torn between anger and pity. Then she sighed and nodded slowly. When Badibo arrived later that morning, Mama Agbabai lied. "The baby died shortly after birth," she said quietly. Badibo frowned. His face dropped. He looked down and suddenly his sadness turned to tears. He wept. Years passed. Bimbo could not get pregnant. 3 years. Then 4. Then 5. Badibo began to change. His love was fading fast, like smoke in the wind. He stopped talking to her with joy. He started shouting, arguing, blaming. Whatever Bimbo did became wrong. Her food, too salty. Her clothes, not good enough. Her sleep, too loud, too soft, too anything. Everything about her now made Badibo angry. Then one day, Badibo's mother came to the house with another woman. "My son," she said harshly, "since your barren wife cannot give you a child, this one will. I will not sit and watch my son suffer like this when there are women who can give you children." When Bimbo heard this, she instantly dropped to the floor, crying. She held Badibo's leg and wept loudly. "Please, Badibo, don't marry someone else. In your family, you marry only one wife. If you bring her in, I will be sent away. Please, just give me 1 more year." Badibo looked at her. He saw the pain in her eyes. He pitied her. He then turned to his mother. "Okay, Mama, let's give her 1 year. Just 1 year more. If she doesn't get pregnant before then, I will marry the new woman and send her away, since it is a taboo to marry 2 wives in our family." His mother, though not happy, nodded and left with the woman she brought. Months passed. The year was almost gone. Still nothing. Bimbo would stand in front of the calendar in their bedroom, tears running down her cheeks, staring at the few months she had left in Badibo's house. Then one night, Bimbo returned to the river where she had thrown her child. She dropped to her knees and cried, "You, river, I know you can hear me. Please, if I can't have another child, bring back the one I threw inside you. I want my baby back. Please, I'm begging you." She cried and cried, though she didn't expect anything to happen. But she was just talking to the river. Maybe, just maybe, a miracle could happen. But nothing happened. She came back the next day, cried again, then again on the 3rd day, and this time something unexpected happened. The water began to move. It bubbled. It stirred. Then, the river broke open, and something that looked like a spirit rose slowly from the edge of the water. But this was not a spirit. It was the river mermaid. Bimbo's mouth opened wide. Her hands shook. Her heart nearly stopped. The mermaid's eyes glowed. Her voice was calm, but sharp. "You threw your baby away with your own hands," she said. "The child is gone. You forgot, a child is a child. And through that child, the one greater than her would have come. But now, the river has swallowed your baby." Bimbo fell to her knees, her voice shaking, crying, begging. "Please, please, give me back my baby." The mermaid stared at her in silence. Then she finally spoke. "Your baby is dead, but I have her blood with me. If you are ready to drink the blood and follow the warning I will give you, then you will be pregnant." Bimbo shouted, "Yes, I'm ready." Then the mermaid lifted a small calabash. "If you drink this blood, in a few months you will be pregnant. You will give birth to twins. One of them will look worse than the one you threw away. The other one will look normal." The mermaid's voice became firm, almost cold. "But be warned, the one who looks worse, you must never let her suffer. You and your husband must pamper her no matter what she does. You must never beat her. Even if she offends you or does something terrible that deserves beating, you and your husband must always say sorry to her. You must protect her with your life. You must pamper her like a queen. And again, you must never tell anyone what you saw tonight. Not even your husband. Don't tell your family. Don't tell the villagers. If you break this warning, what will happen, you will never be able to explain." Bimbo, still crying, nodded. "I agree. I'll do everything you said. I promise." The mermaid handed her the calabash. "Drink." Bimbo drank it all. 2 months later, Bimbo became pregnant. Bimbo was full of joy. His love for Bimbo returned, stronger than ever. He called for a big celebration in his compound. Goats were killed. People danced. Everyone ate and drank. Then, 9 months later, Bimbo gave birth to twins. The first child, a girl, looked even worse than the one she had thrown away. Very black, ugly. Her body was thin like bones. Her face looked like a creature. She looked and smelled like something born by a goat. The second was a boy, healthy and normal. Bimbo frowned when he saw the girl. "What kind of child is this?" he muttered. "Will this one not be a disgrace to me? This is not a baby, this is something else." But Bimbo smiled gently and said, "A child is a child. Let's guide and protect her. Maybe she will grow up and look normal." 12 years passed. The girl, named Shade, became worse than what Bimbo and Bimbo had feared. She didn't walk like a normal human. She moved on her knees and 2 hands, like a goat. As old as she was, she defecated anywhere in the house like a toddler. She behaved like an animal. But Bimbo continued to care for her. She bathed her, cleaned her, carried her on her back like a baby. She pampered Shade more than anyone else in the house, even more than her twin brother, Segan. One night, while everyone was asleep, Bimbo heard a noise coming from the kitchen. He stood up quietly and went to check. When he entered the kitchen, he screamed in shock. Shade was on the kitchen floor. She had opened the pot, eaten all the soup, and then, she sat on the pot, urinated, and defecated inside it like it was a toilet. Bimbo shouted, "Bimbo! Bimbo! Come and see what this thing is doing." Bimbo ran to the kitchen. When she saw Shade, she didn't panic. She walked to her calmly, smiled, and said, "Sorry, my child, sorry." She carried Shade in her arms, cleaned her up, and patted her like a baby. Bimbo stood frozen, his mouth open in shock. From that night, his hatred for Shade deepened. He began to avoid her. He refused to let her come near him. He didn't even want to hear her name. Only Segan was allowed to go to school. Bimbo refused to let Shade attend. She feared other children would laugh at her. Or worse, that a teacher might beat her. And that must never happen. So Bimbo homeschooled her daughter quietly at home. She treated her like a fragile treasure. Bimbo could no longer bear it. Shade had become shameful to him. The villagers now whispered about him. "That's the man whose daughter walks and behaves like a goat." Whenever Bimbo needed to go into the village, he would take only Segan. Shade was never allowed to follow. Then one night, Bimbo woke Bimbo in the middle of the night and said, "Can't we just unalive this girl? Or hide her forever? She's bringing disgrace to my family." But Bimbo, shocked by what she was hearing, screamed, "No! Please, I beg you, please. Let's just leave her. She is your child." Bimbo frowned, unhappy with what his wife was saying. One day, when Bimbo had gone to work and Segan had gone to school, Bimbo had gone to the market. Shade was left at home alone. She crawled into Bimbo's room. There, like a wild goat, she chewed all his important documents. House papers, car documents, certificates. She scattered the entire house like a stubborn child having a tantrum. By the time she finished, the whole house was in chaos. That day, Bimbo was the first person to come home. When he returned and saw what had happened, his heart burned with rage. He saw all his files, certificates, and documents eaten to pieces on the floor. This time, Bimbo wasn't around to protect her. "You've done it again today," he shouted, shaking with anger. "And today I'll show you, I'm not a father that takes nonsense. Your mother who always protects you is not here now." In his fury, Bimbo pulled off his belt. He raised it and flogged Shade. Again, and again, and again, until his own hands were tired, until his breath was heavy. Shade cried. Her voice echoed through the whole compound. Everyone could hear. Later, when Bimbo returned and saw that Shade had been beaten, and saw marks on her body, she screamed. Her voice filled the whole street. "You've killed me," she shouted, her eyes wild. "Why did you beat her? She destroyed everything." Bimbo barked back. "She scattered the house, ate my papers. You should never have touched her." Bimbo cried, falling to her knees. She wept loudly, not like a mother defending her daughter, but like a woman who had just received her death sentence. That night, Bimbo couldn't sleep. She sat up, staring into the dark, shaking. The mermaid's voice repeated over and over in her mind. "If you fail to follow this warning, what will happen? You will never be able to explain." Eventually, sleep took her. But when she woke up at midnight, Shade was gone. Bimbo checked the door. It was still locked from the inside. No one had opened it, but Shade was nowhere to be found. In the morning, Bimbo begged Bimbo, "Please, let's search for her. Maybe we can still find her." But Bimbo snapped, "If she's gone, let her go. I'm happy. No more goat crawling around my house." Bimbo burst into tears. She searched the whole village. She walked from street to street. Then she went to the river and cried out with her hands raised. "Mermaid, please, please come out. Tell me where she is." But there was no response. The water was still. The river was silent. 3 days passed. Still no one saw Shade. Bimbo never stopped weeping. But Bimbo showed no concern. Then the 4th day, late in the night, there was a knock on the door. Bimbo walked to open it. When he did, he froze. In front of him was a huge snake. Before he could react, the snake leaped forward and bit him in the neck. He screamed in pain. Bimbo heard his scream. She knew something dangerous had happened. She grabbed Segan, her only son, and ran out through the back door. She was running straight to the river, shouting as loud as she could. "Mammy! Mammy! Please! Help us!" As the snake chased her, fast and angry. When Bimbo reached the edge of the river, the mermaid was already waiting. She stood on the water with a cold laugh on her face. "I warned you," the mermaid said, "but you failed. The child you once killed and still failed to protect has come for you." Bimbo dropped to her knees. "Please, help me. I didn't mean for this to happen." The mermaid's smile faded. Her eyes turned dark. "An agreement is an agreement. I can't do anything. I gave you back the child. Now it's the child's choice to kill you or let you go free." Suddenly, the snake reached the river, and with no hesitation it leaped and bit Bimbo in the neck. She screamed and fell backward. Her body hit the river. Then, the snake entered into the river, and as soon as it touched the water, it turned into blood. She returned to the mermaid. But someone was watching. A villager, hiding in the bush, had seen and heard everything. He ran straight to the village square, screaming, "Bimbo is dead! Bimbo is dead! I saw it! A snake! It bit her! She fell into the river. The mermaid, the child." He explained all he had witnessed. The whole village rushed to the river with fear and confusion. There, floating on the water, was Bimbo's lifeless body. They pulled her out and carried her to the king's palace. From that day, Bimbo's story became a warning to every woman in the village. Even Mama Agbabai, the nurse who helped deliver Bimbo's first child, wept bitterly when she heard. She adopted Segan as her child. The village spoke of it for years. This story teaches us that a child is a child, no matter how they look or what gender they are. Every child deserves love, not rejection, because what you throw away today may return tomorrow in a way you can never control. If you enjoyed the story, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We offer a life-changing story, and if you like to become part of our journey, we will like you to subscribe for more stories like this. See you again in the next video.